At the heart of it is knowing who you are and not losing your identity. And I think it's too easy as a brand to chase after new things and forget who you are.
Funnel Visionaries. Funnel Visionaries. Funnel Visionaries. Hello and welcome to another episode of Funnel Visionaries, where we talk a whole lot of realness about the customer journey. I'm your host, Konrad Sanders, and in today's exciting episode, I'm joined by Peter Markey, the CMO of Boots UK. Today, we explore the mental health benefits of mulled wine, but more importantly, we dive into how to weave brand purpose into every step of your customer journey. Let's jump in. Welcome, Pete, to Funnel Visionaries. Thank you so much for giving up your precious time this Friday afternoon.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely our pleasure. You could be out there drinking mulled wine or enjoying the festivities, but instead you're here giving us your wisdom. So really appreciate it.
Happy to do it. I'm saving the mulled wine for after the conversation. So
it's straight away, dive straight into the mulled wines.
I can't wait to have a hot drink. Yeah.
Are you a festive guy? I know this has got nothing to do with marketing, but...
No, it's good. I love this time of year, genuinely. Even before I worked in retail, I always loved Christmas. It's such a magical, special time, isn't it? And I love it. Yeah, as soon as I see the decorations and the trees go up and everything, I'm in the zone. I'm ready. So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, same here. I'm a big fan. I've already started watching cringy Christmas movies on Netflix with my wife, so we're already in the zone.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm already on my third watch of Home Alone, so I'm close behind you.
Perfect. I've got, before we dive into like the super serious marketing chat, and I liked how you already made a little segue there to, the season and the fact that how important it is for Boots. Obviously, we're kind of in that Black Friday area right now. I'd like to ask you a question. It's a bit of marketing silliness to start things off. So I am going to be your marketing genie for the day, and I'm going to grant you one wish. And, it can be any wish that you want as long as it's got something to do with marketing. So if you could change the world of marketing or marketers or anything at all within that world, what would it be?
So, I love the industry I'm in. It's amazing, isn't it, being in marketing, particularly right now. It's so exciting. But if I could magic and change and make one thing better, it would definitely be being able to measure stuff better, remove all the sort of uncertainty that's there. So whenever you have a conversation, you could say, I know everything exactly and brilliantly, because there are still shades of grey on bits where it's brilliant. You have to use your intuition more and the data isn't fully there. So being my genie, if you could wave a magic wand and make everything more easily measurable and actionable, then I'd be one happy bunny on the end of that. Yeah.
I wish I were a genie and could do that for both our sakes. It would help us all as marketeers, obviously. But I think it's a really interesting point that you raised there that, sometimes, often it is about intuition and not just data. And I think there's occasionally this situation of what I like to call analysis paralysis, right? When we're trying to rely too much on the data, whereas really data is only as good as the kind of insights that you can draw from it.
Because it really matters, isn't it? Because I think there's an important layer of interpretation that sits above that data. And often data, exactly what you're saying, goes so far, but you need a level of kind of, either it's just your gut intuition or something else or experience that then powers you on to go, I've got the data, but I can move beyond it. The worst thing is to get stuck there, and then businesses get stuck, don't they? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think some data can be misleading as well, especially when you're looking at just a online journey, and in B2B or B2C world, if you're trying to track that customer journey, there's so much that happens, in the offline world, whereby you might wrongly attribute something to SEO because they've Googled your brand name, ended up on your website. And that could be, oh, that's SEO, let's double down on SEO. But what you might not be tracking is the fact that that individual, their wife or friend or colleague told them about your brand, maybe because they read a blog post, listened to a podcast, for example, or something else. And then they went into, Google and typed that brand name in. And so that kind of dark funnel we just can't track. And I guess that is sort of your point there. There is a lot that we can't really track unless we were to put a chip inside the brains of our target audience, which might be coming.
Well, yeah, it's, and I think science and technology will play catch up on that as well. I think there's some really exciting programs. I mean, the Origin program from ISBA is really exciting around tracking, improving measurement. I think research companies like Mesh and System One have done some great work as well to advance. Mesh particularly on what customer experience does to your performance, then System One around measuring how the brain registers and understands
Yeah.
creative and feeling. Yeah, those for me great innovations in the last few years. So the industry's pushing and innovating, so it excites me. We're not there yet, but I think more and more of these gaps will get covered over time.
Yeah, kind of sounds scary, but also exciting for
Well,
for people like us, especially.
and then you've got AI, and you go. I know AI is talked about probably way too much, but there's going to be a role somehow for AI in all this too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, AI has come up in pretty much every conversation I've had so far in the podcast,
Yeah.
and I've got plenty to say about it. Naturally, I need to. I've got my perspective. We have our perspective as an agency, but maybe we'll unravel the AI sort of mystery towards the end of the episode. Um, I'd love to ask you about evolving customer needs and evolving customer journeys because things are changing, things are shifting. Um, Big things have happened in the world. There was a pandemic, if you remember that. That affected customer behaviour. We were just discussing that there has been an economic downturn. There's also been a lot of talk for quite a few years about the death of the high street. And within all of this, customer behaviour and buying habits are changing. I'd love to kind of know a bit more about your experience, how you've experienced these changes at Boots and how you've adjusted to these changes and catered to these changes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time horizon to go back over because I joined the business just as we were sort of moving through some of the phases of COVID in 2021, and we've definitely seen a greater acceleration of digital use of the app. So more consumers buying online, being more confident online, and then seeing the benefit of online. But what's been interesting coming out the back of when we all started getting back to in inverted commas normal was just seeing stores bounce back as well. So we've got a strong stores business, a strong online business, strong through .com and through the app. But what we're seeing is customers moving smoothly, interchangeably between those platforms, and also
Yeah,
using things like the digital advantage card more. So and even our old friend QR codes. Where I remember going into COVID thinking the QR code's dead, but we're seeing more engaged people signing up using the advantage card or getting expert advice or whatever in store through a QR code. So technology, that acceleration has continued. We're seeing that prevalence, but that's obviously hopefully a good thing. And then the emergence of, I mean, we work with delivery, we work with Uber Eats, we work with Just Eat on instant delivery services. We've seen
mm,
those take off. We've got those in over 100 stores now. So customers can get things like if you're at home feeling particularly ill, especially this time of year with cold or flu, actually we can get stuff sent to you in sort of under half an hour that then can be your cold rescue or remedy kit. I even had people on those services ordering our famous Boots meal deal as well. So I think the sense of actually there's some immediacy I want for what you offer has definitely become more prevalent even in our world too. And I think it's an exciting area. I think in terms of particularly on health, but also gifting this time of year. If you're one of those people that and I can sometimes fall into this bracket where you've forgotten a gift for someone, the chance that, particularly as you get near Christmas, that could be dropped round to you where you live in half an hour is amazing. To think that bottle of perfume or thing that you save your trip to the shops or whatever, or you need to have for the next day or whatever, you're seeing a relative, that's great too. So it's become very much that sense of, I think, of greater use of digital, greater confidence in it, and more immediacy in terms of what people are after and the speed in which they want to get things. That's also followed through into things like TikTok trends. So TikTok obviously exploded in this time. And we've seen particular explosion of new beauty brands, things like Korean beauty, amazing brands like Made by Mitch or Bubble by Oma have really sort of, all those brands have taken off on social, particularly
yeah,
through TikTok. And therefore our opportunity has been how do we work with those brands and bring them into the Boots ecosystem very quickly, which we've got better and faster at. And We've had over 50 new beauty brands in the last under the last sort of year, and that's been amazing to see that. But that's been important. How do we make sure to stay relevant as a brand? The digital experience and what we offer is relevant, but also the ranging of what we offer and the brands we offer, staying super highly relevant to it matters as well.
Yeah, so much just in that answer. I've written a few notes down, different kind of areas that we can dive into. Relevancy there obviously being crucial, and you mentioned sort of relevancy of the brands. I suppose it's also in the way that you convey your message, the way that you engage your audience, and TikTok, and with that, the rise of influencers naturally being a key way to get those brands out there, especially in the beauty world. Has influencer marketing been like a key and growing focus for Boots?
It has, yeah. I mean, we actually in-source, so social and content. We actually run. I have a team of people that run that within Boots, and we work with uh, our great agency WPP to help us in terms of attracting and working with influencers. So that we've got a great new way of working there. Influencers definitely have taken off for us, but on health as well, where we have a strong influencer program of a great group of people we work with. Some we work with regularly, some we work with campaign by campaign. We also provide affiliate codes through certain influencers, so we've turned it into not just a brand awareness, but a sales driving channel for us as well. But no, we've seen really huge growth in that area, and rightly so. I think, especially in beauty, if you want to be relevant in beauty, you need to work with relevant people who have an audience who can take what you are about, what you're doing, what you're offering, out to that audience, and then connect you as a brand with that audience. So I only see it continuing to grow, and I think for me, what's been really exciting in the last year is obviously TikTok's continued to grow, but Instagram, Facebook still powerhouses, and Snap is really back in a big way. So it's been really interesting seeing this evolving ecosystem of how people are engaging with content, and YouTube, massive as well. So it's an exciting time, I think, in that entire space.
I suppose a lot of what you've just talked about is social channels, and digital channels, and at the beginning of that last kind of response, you mentioned that your omni-channel approach at Boots, and that, I suppose, shift towards the digital, and I want to kind of link that back to the tracking and sort of stats discussion that we had before. As a marketer, do you feel like, because of this shift towards this more of an omni-channel approach and digital, etc., you have a better grasp on the customer journey, on what's going on, and what your customers and prospects are doing, because a lot of it is in the digital realm, so to speak?
I think digital is a great question. Digital definitely helps you have more data points to work from in terms of how customers are interacting with your brand and what they think about you and how you are on meeting those expectations. And you can see, through the profile of those audiences, how you're meeting those different customer needs, whether it's on a health journey or a beauty journey or a combination. But stores are still a really important part of what we do. And I think more and more we're looking, and they will continue to be, more and more we're looking at the connection points of not just how those experiences run on their own, but how they connect up. If you're coming in store for a click and collect order, or you're doing some of the instant delivery stuff I spoke about earlier on, how does all that hang together? And we have a very important brand promise, our purpose, which is to be with you for life. And therefore, it means we're with you through all of life's moments, through the good times and the more challenging times.
Yeah.
Therefore, actually, the customer experience on every level, everything we do, for me, has to ladder back to that purpose of, are we delivering with you for life when you walk into a store? Are we doing that when you are doing something online? Are we doing something like that when you've got the app in your hand and you're shopping? So that's very much front and center in what we do. But yes, it's given us more data points digital, but actually we still have a very big focus. We're modernizing 100 plus stores at the moment. There's and more to come. That's exciting, and that will continue to be part of our story.
I love that your actual defined purpose plays so well into this idea of looking at the entire customer journey, which is what this podcast is all about. One of my pet peeves when it comes to marketing and some of the large corporates that we have worked with, like not naming any names, is how kind of siloed departments get. The larger the company, the more siloed things get, to the point where marketing becomes these different activities. We've got SEO, we've got demand gen, we've got lead gen, and they're not speaking to each other. And what we try to do is say, okay, hold up, that's great, but let's map out the customer journey. Where are your customers coming from? What's the next step? What are they doing next? What are they doing next? And all the way through to what we like to call kind of after funnel, the AFFU stage, post sale. And for you, you're talking about it's beyond just bringing a new prospect in, selling, and then upselling and cross-selling. It's an entire lifetime, delivering across an entire lifetime, and trying to I suppose from a data perspective, get data points on your customers to learn more about them over the course of that lifetime in order to ideally serve them better. And I suppose, is that where things like loyalty cards, loyalty programs come into play and are very, very useful?
Massively. And the words you said are really important, aren't they? Around, if we know you better, we can serve you better. And I think that's where the data you hold is really important, because if you've got a relationship with a customer and you've got data, there's a level of trust there. I think for me, that trust is important for our brand. We're one of the most trusted brands in the UK, and that's all about a relationship where we know you and we know the brands you like, and we know perhaps a life stage or experiences you're going through. Therefore, we can serve you better with better curated content. That's part of, I think, the Boots story of recent years, especially. And loyalty plays a really important part there. We've got 17 million active Boots Advantage card holders. We've increased that by a couple of million in the last few years. And it's a very vibrant, buzzy loyalty program. But at its heart is around the fact that we're in a relationship, and if we understand the journey you're going through in life, we can serve you better. We can give you the right products, the right services at exactly the right moment. And we invested a couple of years ago in the Adobe Marketing Cloud that powers a lot of the engine room behind our CRM and what we do, and that's helped us provide even better connections with customers, which is exactly what we want to keep doing.
Awesome. And obviously Boots has a strong history, right? We all know Boots, and there's the kind of the heritage of the brand there. But a lot of what we've been talking about has been, shifting into the digital age, and let's say, modern platforms, TikTok influencers, the whole kind of Gen Z vibe. And apologies for probably misusing Gen Z terminology there. Is there a kind of a bit of a balancing act when it comes to trying to attract, younger audiences using that arguably younger platforms and to keep fresh and modern, and while balancing that with the let's say the older customers and the customer base that you've retained for many years, for tens of years?
No, I think it's important also from a tone of voice perspective, because there are core shoppers who've shopped with you for a period of time, and at no point as a brand do you ever want to alienate a group of customers and make them feel that you're not the brand for them. So there's a very important balancing act in what we do as Boots to make sure that because everyone's welcome at Boots and everyone should feel welcome at Boots, and that's an important part of how we plan all our activities and all our communications. So there should be anything. I mean, that does the opposite of that. I mean, we've just done a Make More Room for Beauty campaign that's all about new beauty brands, has particular focus targeting under 35s. But the way we design that creative is, if you're outside of that age bracket and you still love beauty, you still find that ad very Bootsy, very accessible. At no point do we create work where people feel like it's not the Boots they know. But we do talk about moving from good old Boots to wow Boots, where we want people to see our creative and go, oh, wow Boots, not, oh, good old Boots. Because good old Boots is passive. Wow Boots is, I want to do something today. But that wow Boots, I want to shop with you today or whatever. But that wow Boots is universal. Whatever your age or background, we want everyone to say, wow Boots, Boots have got something for me. So it is a balance, because we are pushing and we're moving the brand on because we have to. But importantly, we do it in a way that brings people with us and doesn't leave people behind. That's the important bit.
And I think that's crucial. And it's quite interesting because obviously, a huge company, huge brand, household name. I believe that probably that goal of not alienating people is a lot more important than, well, definitely much more so than, let's say, emerging challenger brands. I would argue even that if you're kind of an emerging challenger brand, you arguably should aim to alienate people, because then you can kind of maybe be more niche and go after a particular niche area of the market. You're likely to have more success than going up against, the Boots of this world. So I guess an interesting and important challenge to balance.
It is, and I think the heart of it is knowing who you are and not losing your identity. And I think it's too easy as a brand to chase after new things and forget who you are. And the world's full of case studies of brands that do that. And I think we're so sure of our purpose being with you for life and who we're there to serve and what we're there to do, that my hope is we'll never lose sight of that, to the point where when we're trying to attract new audiences in, bringing these new amazing beauty brands, being active on TikTok, our beauty partnership with Love Island, for example, where we're still us. We're just showing
Yeah,
different sides of our personality and what we're about, but at its core, it's still the same boots that you just know and love. But the bit at the heart of the question you're asking is around the sort of level of disruption in your work. There's got to be a degree of I call it more reappraisal, where actually it's about people, particularly for our brand, going, oh, it's the boots I know and love, but importantly, it's the boots I know and love plus plus plus. Well, you now have Made by Mitchell, you have Bubble, you now have Biomi, you
yeah.
now got all these new health services. Well, I didn't know that about you, therefore, wow, boots, I'm going to come and shop with you, etc. That's the importance of build on where we are.
And that you obviously you mentioned a couple of times that brand purpose. How do you, I suppose, like how do you bring that to life at different parts of the customer journey? In sort of in the reality of like communicating that purpose to your audience, to the customers, because you know it. Obviously, the team know it. Sounds like from a culture perspective, it's sort of reinforced. So, in more tangible terms, I guess is what I'm trying to ask. Like, how's that purpose sort of presented to your customers at different points across that
Yeah,
journey?
it's so every point we're looking for I guess for everyone to have an interaction where they come away feeling better overall. So I think there's a sense
Yeah,
of in every interaction that if you come in for a new beauty look or you come in for a particular health situation, that you leave feeling either more confident or better, or that we've resolved that thing for you. That's a real goal. So
yeah,
ensuring we're measuring things like net promoter score, obviously key, customer satisfaction, but also things like brand relevance, salience, the connection we're having with people is critical within that too. But yeah, With You for Life is very much a guiding force in our business. If you look at we've got a program I could talk about because it's announced externally. We're replatforming our website, things like that. At the heart of that is doing that not just because there's a commercial benefit, but actually there's a customer benefit. So we're doing that to make sure our purpose is even more front and center, and part
yeah.
of the design thinking of how do we make services easier for people to use, the experience better, easier, more intuitive. That's part of that too. And for our team members, there's always more to do. But when we developed With You for Life, there was a whole bit of work done with our team members in stores for them to build on it and validate it. And we saw that. And definitely as we've over the last couple of years activated that, there's been really good engagement from customers and team members in our business to go, I get that. That's the business
Yeah,
I recognize, identify, and that's true. I see that as a brand truth because, again, there are too many brand purposes that feel just so woolly and fluffy. You could stick it on anyone's logo and go, yeah. And I've played this game before where you do that and people don't, you can't tell that's
yeah.
great, but I don't know what the brand is. Whereas my hope is that there aren't many brands, or any brands I could think of that could own With You for Life as powerfully as Boots do.
And it is incredibly powerful, and kudos to you guys for having it, for developing that. And I'm 100% with you when it comes to brand values and brand purpose. There's so much fluff out there. Um, and I would argue, again, with a lot of companies we work with, um, that sort of they will often present that why as being at the top of their message hierarchy, and I will play devil's advocate. And exactly as you said, that perfect game to play, or the litmus test is, if you slap that on the site of a competitor, would anyone know? Or, in the same vein, if you took a little snippet of copy, a bit of to express their tone of voice from that website, would anyone know that it's your brand? So I think having that as a North Star, it just makes a lot of sense. And I can see how it's got this practical element to it. It can, if you were to kind of create content marketing campaign, with that as the North Star, it could just it would guide all of your decisions and guide it's applicable, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say, which is
Yeah,
great
right.
rather than
Yeah, you're right. It's a really important point. The applicable bit is often, where as marketers this stuff falls down is if it becomes a slogan on a poster, or just sits around, or it's just an end line on an ad campaign isn't real. And there's a brilliant interbrand model I love where they say brand purpose is made real and has commercial impact in four areas. First of all, is communications and storytelling, so your marketing, but also
yeah
it's your products and services, it's the environment and channels like your website, your shop, and it's your people and culture and who you are and what your people do. That for me is a great model to go exactly on your point, Conrad. It's more than that, and actually, it needs to be applicable. You need to know what to do with it as
yeah
a team member in a business like Boots or any other business. You go, I know how that fits in my role and the difference I can make. If you crack that, that's the winning formula, definitely.
Otherwise, it's just something to look at and smile and go, "Oh, right,
Well,
that's
what's
nice, that's
it,
catchy."
what's empty words, and then what happens is we marketing directors are naughty like this, and it tends to go on. The CMO marketing director comes into business, you come in new, and the first thing you want to do is look at the purpose. So poor people in a business, poor people sat in a business, literally had their shopping bags changed with a new identity on. CMO comes in for a couple of years, and the next one comes in and goes, I know what I'm going to do. Start all this all over again, and off you go. And then credit to Tesco, have done an amazing job with Every Little Helps. That's 25 plus years old. You'd be a very
Mm,
brave marketer to go into that business and say, I'm going to change it. I think there's something really powerful about that, and also how they've stuck with that and how real that's become. And I think we need more brands that do that, more brands that get behind what's there. And I guess my challenge and encouragement for CMOs, obviously, people have got to come in and do their own due diligence. But if it isn't broken and there's some power in it, make it famous rather than change it. And I think it's too tempting to change it. And maybe it should be more of let's make this amazing and really live and breathe it.
yeah, absolutely. So you talked about those four kind of key areas that a tagline or a purpose or that kind of North Star would and should influence and affect customers, naturally being a very important piece of that puzzle. Um, and we've also talked about data tracking and the kind of relationship between the online and offline experience. How important is, and I know you're going to say it's very important, but I'd love to get a full answer, but how important is customer feedback to, everything you do in marketing at Boots, and all of these shifts and channels and you know approaches and methodologies?
It's so important because if you don't stay in tune with your customer, you become irrelevant. And there are too many examples of brands and retailers that aren't around anymore because they just became irrelevant in people's lives. So that staying in tune is really important. Are you offering the services your customers need today? Are
Mm,
you in tune with the brands that they want, etc.? And have you got those today? We've celebrated our 175th birthday this year, but deliberately not done a self-indulgent look at us, we're 175 years old campaign, because my view and others is just that serves no purpose to remind people of something we did 100 years ago. And whilst it might be amazing, what matters is what I'm doing right now, not what I did
mm.
100 years ago or 75 or 50 years ago, as wonderful as the history is. I'm not sure that connects with customers in the way that what you do today does. So that bit about insight around what matters in people's lives, keeping close to that is important because it's brand relevance that drives, for me, everything that comes to then drive your growth. You've got, you are, as customers look at us and go, you are a brand for me. You have what I want and need, therefore I gravitate towards you and I will want to have a relationship with you and a loyalty card. So that's been really important. So the insight to help you unlock that and understand the role you play in people's lives and how you stay relevant, I agree. That's the rocket fuel. It's what you need. Then you need to double down and action it.
And how do you gather those insights? I imagine it's a number of different ways, but what are some of the key ways that you get real time feedback from your customers that then shape, your marketing strategies?
Yeah. So, I mean, at a basic level, I guess real time is if you look at the deals and offers you put on your website and you email and put through the app, then that's immediate real time bit of feedback there in the sense of
Yeah.
is this thing working or not. We'll see that over Black Friday, which is not far off, and associated dates around it. We have a regular program on NPS, both online and in store, so we've got a good sense of even down to store level, how different stores are doing and what's happening there. That's equally important too. And then we've got a series of really good. Obviously, we do all the classic user experience testing and things you'd expect for things like .com, but a whole bunch of research programs around brand relevance, like I referred to early on, salience, consideration, all the sort of key measures to go. Let's make sure our brand is healthy and vibrant and still shows up in a way that is authentic and a way that shows that what we've got is the things you need that matter in your life right now.
Yeah, I suppose there's also that balance between. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. We'll edit this part. We'll edit this part out. I'll get to my next question. So we've talked about customers and getting that that feedback, that all important feedback loop in place, and sort of helping that shape your marketing strategies, your brand, etc. What about turning them into advocates? Because I think such an important part of the customer journey, and ideally growing revenue, which is the end goal. And it might, to some companies, that this might not seem like it's a marketer's remit to look at, but by everything you're saying, I imagine it is. How about what do you guys do at Boots to sort of encourage referrals and brand ambassadors within your customers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a way you can leave your product recommendations on the things you value, but it's for us critically, the Advantage card and our connected clubs are the main way to show that advocacy by people wanting to go deeper in their relationship with us. So obviously, with the Advantage card, 25 years old, 27 years old now. Golly, 27 years old now. We have over 60s club, we have a parenting club, we have a student club, we have a growing beauty club called My Beauty. Those are all ways to get more involved in with us, with customers, in terms of showing up in a relevant way in their lives. And then for them to talk up what we do and advocate and promote us and get
Yeah,
friends to and family members to get as excited about Boots as hopefully they are. But it starts with having a really strong, great proposition, and that comes from the brand, and then it goes through to a rewarding loyalty scheme. We still give 3 points for every £1 spent. We give 10% off Boots own brand products, and Price Advantage gives you the mechanic we've got gives you benefits. Money off in stores and online on specific products at certain points, different products at certain points in the year, including over the festive period. So all those bits together gives you a rewarding loyalty scheme that's hopefully, and we are seeing is the case, people are recommending and talking it up with others, and that's part of what's contributed to the extra couple of million cardholders we've added in the last few years.
yeah. Ideally, you're doing a good job for your customers, good products, good service, etc., and they're organically talking about what you do, what you offer, and then that's a great way to market, essentially.
100%. Yeah.
As a huge company, big organization, you've also got a lot of staff members working for you, and I've talked about sort of customer brand advocacy. Is there a focus on employee brand advocacy as well, and do you have any programs in place for that? How do you encourage that if it is something that you do?
There is. So we have got a number of benefits. If you work for Boots, a number of benefits, including discounts off products in store and online. We do a certain points in the year, we double that discount. So it's called double discount. So team members can get even more benefit off buying Boots products. And we have one of those in the run up to Christmas. We had that a couple of weeks ago. So that's a definite way to encourage people who work for us to shop with us and then to recommend us as well. We do an ongoing regular employee engagement survey. We get a sense of the pulse of the business and how people are performing. We did some work a couple of years ago that rolled through around awareness of the brand purpose and what that means for people and their teams. I'd like to do more work on that. I think we've made some great progress on the purpose, embedding it, but there's definitely more I'd like to do. And the more stores I visit, which I'm trying to do more regularly, the more you talk to people, they feel very proud of Boots. They feel a real connection with our purpose. But I think there's more we could do that says, how do we make that even more personal? That in this sort of job that you're doing, this is what it means for you to be demonstrating with you for life. This is what that is. I think that there's more I'd like to do there.
And we've talked quite a bit about within the episode. We've talked about change. We've talked about gathering data and insights, both from customers and now from employees as well. And this is probably quite a broad question, but is there like what kind of indicators, whether they're green, orange, or red flags, or however you want to see them, um, would make you, as a marketing director, say something needs to change, or we should be shifting something, whether that's at a top level. I don't know if we're going as high as brand purpose, because as we said, there's longevity there, and you've got a brilliant brand purpose and North Star. We don't want to just change that like a lot of marketing directors might do. But in terms of like marketing strategies or communications, comms, what you're doing on social, what you're doing there on the ground in the shops, like what kind of indicators would sort of light a fire under you guys to go, right, we need to change something?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, they're classic measures, but Net Promoter Score is always a great guide to say, are people really enjoying the experience they're getting and would they recommend us? That in itself is powerful, and therefore a trigger would be if that dropped in the wrong direction. What would we do? And particularly in digital, when you can see that very quickly, can't you? The immediacy of maybe an experience or a glitch in your website. And then I think it is some of the measures I talked about earlier on, the brand health measures. So relevance, consideration, salience. Is the brand
Yeah.
top of mind? Are people aware of it? How positive or negative do they feel around that at a certain point? All those are great reference points to go. And if any one of those is off, then that's a worry. But there's also just even down to the raw numbers of how we trade the business. You see it in trading performance. What's footfall like? What's website visits like? What are people buying or not buying? How does that then compare with the broader retail landscape? So all that brings a picture, and you would take action clearly on any of those points if you saw things drift. If we were coming off sales or less engaged with people or had less interesting content for them, if the deals weren't there, if the channel was too difficult to access, all that stuff we'd get out and then be able to as we do, take action on.
So definitely needs a good data team, a good team of analysts, I suppose, to feed you guys as marketers.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and then I guess a link to finance as well. So there's there's the insight research team, then there's and what the levers of the business commercially we're pulling here that shows that the stuff we're looking at matters and helps drive growth in the business. And if it's not in the right place, then we need to agree to drive action hard to get it back.
Yeah, it's that communication between departments. It's that the lack of siloing that I talked about before, which it sounds like you guys are doing brilliantly. And you talked about to me earlier about growth, quarter on quarter growth, it sounds like, and how excited you are by your day to day and your role. So there must be good things happening at Boots in order for you to be this excited and for for you guys to be doing so well.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting when you. It's like, if you try and find a sporting analogy, is when you start to get some runs on the board, when you start to win, you feel good, and then that builds up. And I think we that momentum started, just be 4 years ago when we start the year, and there were so many things we did collectively around content, new content in store, brands in store, investing more in marketing, that has really paid off for us. And so you feel that sense of excitement, energy in the business. Exactly as you're saying in your question, but it's the challenge now is staying there. If you're winning, then obviously others want to win where you're winning. So our challenge always is, how do we get better and better at what we do? How do we not rest on our laurels, but we just keep constantly innovating, evolving, moving forwards? That's absolutely critical. It's one of the roots of driving our business. There's never been a moment to sit back and celebrate and pour yourself a glass of champagne. We're more like, no, that yesterday was great. But what about tomorrow? Obviously sometimes it doesn't give you time to pause for breath to celebrate. What it does, it continually pushes you to get better and better. If you're acting like you're in second or third place and really you're in first, your whole behaviour is different, and it's very exciting as well.
As long as you can pour yourself a glass of mulled wine at some point,
Well, that's
because to celebrate those Christmas wins.
Yeah, as I hope to be doing as we head into the festive season. But yeah, it's I agree. You need a moment of reflection like that, don't you? But I think this sort of restlessness for how do we keep making things better and better is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. By the sounds of it, I've got one last question for you. I'm going to kind of loop back here because you talked about innovating right there, constantly looking forward, innovating, keeping abreast of, you know, all the tech revolutions that are going on, including, of course, AI, which we sort of dropped into the conversation earlier on. So I thought I'd leave with a question or a quick, we'll cram in a quick discussion about AI. I mean, if you can answer this, if you're allowed to, how are Boots innovating with generative AI, if at all, at the moment, or equally, how do you see the kind of the future landscape when it comes to using AI to your advantage?
I think it's incumbent on all of us, Conrad, at this stage to help shape the future of where we want AI to play and not let it
Hmm.
run away from us, but to have clear expectations on where we think will have the most benefit. We're on a journey. There are pockets in which we do this already with creative, but I stress I don't mind having a beach that's not real, but I'll never ever do fake people or fake hands or anything to do with health and beauty has to be, in my view, real people.
Yeah,
In the same way, we haven't been retouching images for years either for the same reason. Um, but I think there'll be more use. We're already doing some imagery, as I say, some copy, email headers, and so on. I think there could be more to go after in this space. Media owners we work with already do a number of bits, like I was saying, and then you get to, I think. I don't know. It's then you go, what could happen next? I think research and insight is interesting. Could I get briefs written, reports written faster that could make people's jobs more interesting and easy?
yeah,
It's funny. I've started to play around more with. So actually, yeah, I was in a meeting and we were talking about what one of our competitors did for Halloween, and I just used Microsoft Copilot and went, right, can you do me a review? Compare it with Boots, bang, back in seconds. Now I knew it was going to do that, but even that was breathtaking to go. I don't have to go and scroll through YouTube trying to find the video. It's done it for me. So immediately I've got a competitor review it. And obviously I'll kick the tires and check we're happy with it. But that sort of thing is brilliant to go. I know the exam question. I can get it answered while I'm in the meeting asking the question. I can put it
mm,
back. I can learn from it. But I haven't then taken a couple of hours of someone's time to do that. The AI's done it, and you go. Therefore, we can free people up to be far more value adding in their job and what they do. That extra bit of human touch of interpretation and impact. So yeah, I think there's some. It's an exciting and interesting time, but we've got to shape the future and what we want it to look like. But we shouldn't be. I don't think we should be afraid either. We've got to lean in. I
yeah.
think and learn.
I agree. Like we lent in right from the offset, kind of kept our finger on the pulse of what was happening for several years prior to ChatGPT coming along and kind of like blowing up the internet and waking up the world to where we're at in terms of the advancements of specifically generative AI. But I think it's kind of our duty to embrace it. And learn the strengths and limitations. Like it's kind of our duty as marketers to understand that landscape, and by understanding those strengths and limitations, then we can use it in the right way. And then, as you said, we can kind of shape the future of marketing. And I don't think we have time to talk about how AI is going to affect the global economy. We'll save that for another episode. But at least, like in the marketing world, I think what we're trying to do is encourage everyone to embrace it, use it. One thing that we found we did a very like thorough use case testing project over the last year and a half, with all hands on deck. But one thing we found was that while we'd broken down all of the services we offer and tasks and stuff and scored them up and used different technologies to try and augment those areas, a lot of the use cases were actually quite personal because even our writers tackle different parts of the writing process in different ways. Some of them enjoy different parts of it. So we wanted that enjoyment factor to be in there as well, because in my opinion, there's no point speeding up, let's say, a process by 20% if that's the very part of the job that our very talented team really enjoy doing. That's the creative part. And so, like you said, it's sophisticated automation, isn't it? Let's automate the bits which are we don't necessarily enjoy, the kind of the more laborious tasks, speed them up and allow for our kind of chaotic creative brains to focus on the other areas and add more value.
I like that, and then it should make people's jobs more interesting, more fulfilling. You go, well,
Yeah.
admin bit's gone. Now I can add the interpretive layer on top and add more value in my job and help drive and growth and progress, move things forward. It's good.
Yeah, until they develop artificial general intelligence, and then that kind of, I don't know, they end up enslaving the human race, and the AI overlords take over, and we have a matrix situation. Until then,
I'm a long way away from that. But yes,
yeah, until then, let's embrace it, and like you said, make our jobs more interesting, exciting, valuable, and so on and so forth. But I'm glad we got into the AI right there in the nick of time. I appreciate your thoughts on that and on everything else. It's super interesting to hear about like all the amazing things you're doing at Boots, especially in terms of, that really thinking through the customer journey from offline to online and back and forth. And I love that you've expanded it to really like an entire lifetime. It's not just a sort of one linear journey, from which a lot of marketers think of that as like a funnel, we get people in the top and then we squeeze them out the bottom and our job is done. Whereas here you're really thinking like it's a full lifetime, customer lifetime value, I suppose. That's the metric, isn't it? So that's why you focus on it.
Yeah, and that's the way I think win along to build and sustain those relationships are really important.
Yeah. So thank you again so much, Pete, for joining me this Friday afternoon, and have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Cheers.
Funnel Vision.